Well, hello there. I'm Nusha, also known as Ferocious and Pretty Pens, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to all things related to fountain pens, fountain pen inks, artsy fartsy things, or whatever I feel like filming at the present moment. If you're returning, welcome for more of this! Woo! I don't know what to do with my hands this week. For this week's video, we are going to be doing another artsy fartsy time with your fountain pens, inks, and other tools. Yeah. For this episode, we are going to go over a doodle pattern. It's not a Zentangle, there's no geometry to it, there's no symmetry that you have to follow, it's whatever you want it to be. And the simplest way I can put it is that they're just petals. Petals / petals. I don't know what else to call them. So if that's something that interests you and you want to follow along, keep watching. All you need for this is whatever piece of paper you have near you, as well as a writing utensil. You can do it with a fountain pen, a regular pen, I'm not judging, a pencil, whatever you want. First and foremost, if you watched any of my other videos, you may notice that the filming setup is a little bit different. And honestly, this is my couch in my living room and we're being lazy today. This week has been crazy busy. I'm just, proud of myself that I'm upright and able to articulate in words. I'm hoping that I'm communicating okay and that you are picking up what I'm throwing down. And if you're not, I apologize, and hopefully next week will be a little bit less crazy and we can go back to our regularly scheduled programming. Yeah, I said regularly. So I have my 52 GSM Tomoe River notebook. You can use Eddie paper. I'm using dot grid. It doesn't have to be dot grid. It could be blank. No, like I said, symmetry to this design. I'm going to show you how to do this with a broad, a medium, and a fine. You can do this with any size nib or tool that you want. I'm going to start off with the broad because it's a little bit easier to see and it's a little bit easier to maneuver. So I'm gonna bring you guys in close, hello, and we will go ahead and get started. With this, all you need to do is draw a, petal, and then you just, after you've drawn the first way, you reverse it. So the next one, I'll show you again. You go one way, and then you reverse it. There is absolutely no rhyme or reason to this pattern. You can do it however you want. You don't want to reverse it, that's okay too. It's just, it makes it a little bit easier to maneuver. The key with this pattern is you just want to create something that looks like it's layered. And you can go any direction you want. You can go back and forth. Just try to avoid the areas where the ink may be wet. And, oh man, well, oh well, the show must go on. What's a little ink between friends? In this overlaying sort of situation, just make sure if you're moving between areas that you're not putting your hand in it. And if you get to an area like this where you can't really put another petal in there, just color it in. That's okay. No one's gonna know. It's just you and me. Just a back and forth motion. Keep it simple. Use a wet pen, but not so wet that it leaks all over you like mine did. See, no big deal. It's your universe. You can put these wherever you want. And if they're a little crooked, that's okay. Like I said, no one's gonna know. You meant to do that, right? So there is the broad nib. Oh, this ink is Herbin Kyanite du Népal. I think that's the name of it. And it really looks pretty on my hands too. It's a shimmer ink. So if you're choosing an ink to do this with, pick something, in my opinion, that shades really well or that sheens, because where the ink basically pools, you end up getting a pretty cool sheening effect, and we'll be able to see it once this dries. All right, so now for a medium. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit and maybe draw a little bit bigger. So you wanna go and then the other way. So the first one you draw goes one way, and then you loop it back around. So this is a TWSBI, the other pen was a TWSBI Eco with the broad, and this one is the 580 Rose Gold Smoke. And you can tell when you're using a finer nib, it's a little bit trickier because you have to pay closer attention to the lines that you're making for that overlapping effect. And it still ends up looking okay, but you just have to be a little bit more precise with where you lay down your petal things. And you can make the petals completely different sizes. You can choose to completely switch directions if you want. You can make them a little bit more curvy like this if you choose. That's okay too. Like I said, this is your world on paper. You can make it however you want. The ink in this pen is Sailor Ink Studio 223. And the cool thing about this ink is that it looks like just an everyday gray ink. So if the ink that you're using is something like a Sailor Ink Studio ink that has chromatic shading, you can add a little bit of extra spice to this by using a water brush. And this is kind of like, you know, a fitness class where they show you one way that's modified and then the other way for like the super advanced people that are way fitter than I'll ever be. But if you want to do something extra with this and you have an ink that's a chromatic shading ink, you can add a little something extra to it by adding a water brush. And then you get to start seeing the chromatic effects of it. Just refocus this so that you can see it a little bit better. This works really well when it's wet, but you get more of the chromatic shading effect when it's dried for a minute. So this is another thing that you can do. You can do every single one of them. You can do some of them and not all of them. again, the world is your oyster with this. You can do it however you choose. And it creates this kind of cool effect. I'm not being precise at all with the water brush right now. There you go. So there's another way that you can do this. For the finale, the grand finale, I'm going to use my Pilot Kaküno in Fine. It's inked with Waterman Tender Violet. What you're going to notice here is it's not as forgiving as nibs that are broader, but you can get really small with your details and way more precise, which I am absolutely not being right now, and that's okay. I will admit I am not the biggest fan of using fine nibs for designs because it just makes it that much more difficult. And as I'm filming this, I'm sitting kind of far away from the paper, and it's not as easy to see the pen and nib placement on the paper. So oh my god, I am getting crazy with this. And if you mess up, just make it into a shadow or something, I guess. Wow. This video is going downhill. It went downhill at the intro. This is what happens when you're tired and you're trying to do things. So yeah. So this is a little bit more difficult for me because I'm sitting kind of far away from the paper, so I can't really see where I'm putting my nib. So for those of you that are fine nib aficionados, my hat's off to you. And if you want to spice it up a little bit, you can, you know, do this with multiple colors if you want. You can, you know, add water if you want to something like this, but this is not a chromatic shader, so I don't think that the effect would be as striking as it was with the Ink Studio 223, but this is an ink that sheens, so you see a little bit of that in some of these areas where it pulled. I'm not sure it's coming across on camera, but you can definitely see it with the Herbin ink. All right, I'm gonna call this good because I'm hoping that you got the idea with these 3 different examples. I'm probably going to pick another chromatic shader that I have and do something like this and throw it on my Instagram at Ferocious and Pretty Pens. Keep an eye out for that if you follow me there. You can tell that I'm having a rough week. The pen leaked all over me. I've broken 2 nails. I think I need a glass of wine. And that's a wrap. If you followed along or you end up creating something using this pattern and you have an Instagram, please tag me at Ferocious and Pretty Pens. I'd like to see what you come up with. And remember, this pattern is whatever you make of it. You can use different colors, you can use different tools. It's your world on a piece of paper. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up or a like or whatever the cool kids do on the YouTubes, because I'm like 80 or something. And if you're not already subscribed, what you waiting for? The cool kids already did it and they're still doing it, so you should too, and stuff. With that said, we'll see you on the next one. Remember, keep writing and drawing. Camera's so far away. What is this? Jive? Like, why do I keep using that word? What is this? Like the 1920s? Yeah, jive, yeah. Daddle, doodle, dee, dang. Dementor. This channel is dedicated to son of a monkey's butthole. Just lounging on my couch. And no, that's creepy. Don't say that. And your eye, go boy. And you have an Instagram account, throw it up there, and don't throw up. Throwing up is bad. Take 2. Post it on your mother. Your mother is a wonderful person. And your father, your uncles, your cousins, all of them are good people. You come from good people. Can I get an interruption from a cat right now?